नाम है मारूफ शेख and I bring to you Symmetry Group's Narratives Transformed, a Women's Day special. And I have a very special panel of experts and consultants from Symmetry. This is our resident panel of consultants. We have with us Sohail, Dalvi, Salim. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
मजा आ रहा है? अच्छा ठीक है, very good. And next to Sohail, we have Uruj Vohra. She is a senior consultant strategy and planning.
Hello.
What's up?
Not much, you tell me.
Oh, I will tell you a lot. अच्छा जी. And we have Taha Khan, junior consultant animation. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Yes? Allowed? Okay. Say it good. And then next to Taha, we have Mishal Khan.
Hi, Mark.
Oh my God. Hi. Acha. She
Hi,
is
Mishal.
senior consultant strategy and planning. And on the other side of the table, but not necessarily of the conversation, we have Zainab Kazmi.
Hello.
She is the junior consultant design. And उनके बराबर में हमारे साथ हैं समीर बेग. He is the associate from the Content Excellence and Interactive Department. Next to him we have Jamana Hansrod.
Hello.
Hi. And she is the senior associate for Content Excellence and Interactive. And last but definitely not the least, Uzair Ahmed, the Chief Operating Officer of Symmetry Group. Hi.
Thank you, Maruk, and she's our head of content.
Okay, सही है, ठीक है. So guys, post का है Women's Day की. किधर है post Women's Day की?
बताएं जी कहाँ है?
We have a very beautiful podcast right here.
So this is our post.
Better than a
That's
podcast.
the spirit. That's the spirit. It's better.
This is
than
what you have to
what
deal with. The kind of
Yeah.
post that people will be seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what Narratives Transformed is all about. And speaking of narratives, I mean the reason why we're all sitting here, and when we started talking about the Women's Day, कि उसपे हम क्या करेंगे, क्या post होगी, so we talked about the theme, you know, equity को embrace करना, and then everyone started throwing in, you know, their points, their questions, यार equity और equality में क्या फर्क है, क्या scene है. So I'm going to open the floor for all of you to let me know, and I'm going to start with Zainab. What do you think equity or equality क्या है, उनके बीच में अगर कोई difference है, so what is that, and what do you understand by the terms?
Thank you. I think there is a huge difference between equity and equality, and you know, like if you go through its definition, equality is being like everybody gets the same opportunity, the same resources and everything, and then you know, like you expect the same outcome, but then obviously that cannot happen. When equity comes into question, equity is basically you, I would say, look at an individual level. You look at the shortcomings. I don't want to use the word shortcomings, but basically you look at
The aptitude.
yeah,
Yeah.
of each individual, and that's how you basically you know, provide with the needed resources to everybody to get the same outcome.
Right. And Taha, आपकी understanding क्या है equity और equality को लेके?
Equality is the exact same treatment of everybody. और equity के अंदर हम लोग हर किसी के circumstances को देखते हैं कि किसको किस तरह से treat करना चाहिए ताकि आपका outcome अच्छा हो.
So Mishal, do you think there is a difference between the two?
Of course there is. Case in point, we're wearing these beautiful shirts right now. They're all different sizes. I could have been wearing an extra large. You wouldn't have been able to see me right now. And you'd fit, well, who could I say? Somebody in like an XS and they won't fit. But the whole idea is that you have to understand that everybody, not just in a workplace, everybody in general has different set of needs that they require. And in order for us to progress as a nation and as a whole, it is absolutely necessary to understand individual needs, and that's how, you know, brick by brick you make an entire foundation.
So it's a funny thing that you mentioned about the shirts that we're all wearing.
Yeah.
So Sameer is a last minute inductee into the panel, and he was at the risk of, you know, wearing an extra large one. I'm glad we found a shirt that fits you. So Sameer, difference feel होता है equity और equality types की conversation में?
डिफरेंस है क्योंकि इक्वालिटी यही वही बात है जो ज़ैनब ने कही थी कि सबको इक्वली ट्रीट करना है, लेकिन फ़र्क वहाँ पे आता है जहाँ पे इक्विटी की हम बात करते हैं, तो उसमें ये होता है कि हर हर किसी के हिसाब से, सबकी अपनी रिक्वायरमेंट के हिसाब से अगर उनकी नीड्स अगर आप पूरी करो, तब जाके आपको एक बेटर आउटपुट मिलेगा, रिजल्ट मिलेगा। तो काफ़ी लोगों में ये है कि कंफ्यूजन है इक्वालिटी और इक्विटी को लेके, तो ये थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस लोगों को आई गेस कम पता है।
But I think that it's not just confusion. I think there's also like a huge lack of awareness, because I think people don't know much about equality in itself, and now a new concept of equity is being introduced that people don't know about.
And often they believe that it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just used.
But that's
Interchangeably.
I think this is the opportunity,
Yeah.
you know, where we can not just identify कि ये concepts on their own as individual notions क्या हैं,
Yeah.
but also, you know, like opening up that conversation, that debate कि either they are similar, synonymous to each other or not, difference है भी या नहीं है, and that yes, that sheer awareness of it at a very base level. Uzair, do you have something to add?
Yeah. So, Maruk, to me, I'm not going to debate about what's equality or equality versus equity. To me, equality has been there. We've all been talking about equal opportunities, equal pay, and you know all those sort of inclusive initiatives we take in the corporate world as well. To me, equity is a purpose. The purpose of fulfilling human needs. How do you fulfill human needs? As a human, we are 9 people sitting on this table, and we could have different needs to, I mean, I'll go as basic as, you know, fulfilling our thirst. We wake up in the morning, probably वो रोज उठती होगी, उसको गर्म पानी पीना होता होगा, वैसे ताहा उठेगा, उसको ठंडा पानी पीना होता होगा, and we all have different needs. So it's all about carving a path towards fulfilling those needs, customizing the world to fulfill those individual needs, and serving a greater purpose rather than just, you know, सबको जिसे कहते हैं ना, हम हमेशा से सुनते आ रहे हैं, सबको एक ही लाठी से हाथ दें. That's what equality tells you. कि हाँ जी, ये सबके लिए है. Whoever can grab it, grab it. But how do you actually make people grab it? How you empower them? How you enable them to achieve whatever they want to achieve in life? And to me, equity plays a great role in that. So rather than a versus debate, to me it's more about carving a way towards achieving real equality through or by virtue of equity. That's what equity and equality to me is.
I think sorry,
I
yes,
want to add.
please.
So, speaking of what Uzair just said, so I think I've been the oldest resource over here, like the people that are sitting here at Symmetry, after Uzair, of course.
Thank you
I'm
for
not-
clarifying that.
I'm not that old, guys, okay?
Oldest employee, but not old in age.
Yeah. So you know how when COVID hit, so all of us were working from home. And I would just like to point out that we've been practicing equity, but it's just that we weren't calling it out like that. So when COVID hit and we started working from home, so everybody had different needs. So somebody said कि let's say a designer called somebody and said कि मेरे घर पे internet सही नहीं है. So the Symmetry made sure that they were provided with an internet device. Or let's say our animation department or our developers, they used to use PCs like desktop वाले. So we made sure that we give them laptops so that they could take them home easily. और अगर वो PC भी लेके जा रहे थे, so we made sure that they were installed at their houses so that it's not difficult for them to cope up with the scenario, because times are so hard over there. But nobody ever called it out as equity because the concept was not there at that point in time.
It wasn't branded
So,
as such.
even from a human lens, if I look at it, rather than just the corporate lens or the symmetry lens just mentioned by Uruj, it's all about understanding what a particular individual wants, or what a particular individual needs to succeed, or for that matter, propel in their careers or any aspect of their life. So that's again a big part of what equity is to me.
And yeah, so that
So sorry to cut you, but again, challenges समझना बहुत जरूरी है.
Challenges
Circumstances
समझना
समझना बहुत जरूरी है.
हाँ, और फिर उसके
Life
बाद-
stages समझनी बहुत जरूरी है लोगों की. And at any given point in time, at any given stage of their life, people can have different challenges. People can have different things to overcome. And as individuals, as a society, we all need to sort of be mindful of that. कि हम किस हद तक जा रहे हैं उस चीज़ को समझने के लिए. And that is again what equity is all about.
Also, this I think would only come with empathy. Empathy, not sympathy. And I know for a fact that a lot of people, and I hate to say this, that a lot of people will probably, sympathize with this whole concept and would like to or would want to, take it to their advantage. But it shouldn't be like that. And we all need to understand that, this concept is beyond that. Basically, it's not just providing resources or tailored resources to people to achieve a particular outcome. It's much more than that.
It's also
It's
very,
allowing them to play in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also very personal, very individual because say resources, opportunities मिलती हैं, but what's really important is as an individual, if I don't fit into certain criteria, it doesn't mean I shouldn't be given that chance.
Yeah.
Right? For me, it has to be tailored, of course, because everyone's different.
But I think it's also very subjective, the concept of equity, because like you judge each individual based on what their needs are.
it is subjective because the whole idea is it's about being fair and what is being fair really.
Exactly.
And
So that's-
everybody thinks differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
सबके लिए अलग है.
Yeah, but
There is Bharti comes in with like but
It's always good to have
Yeah,
an
but-
alternate opinion as well.
Because
Yeah,
I've been listening to all of you guys, but we need to understand we live in such a rat race world. I mean, do you think really, anybody has time for equity? Nobody has time for that. I mean, people would prefer to get equal rights than rather get tailor-made design, desired, things. But the thing is, we forget that we are living in such a world that it is so fast and quick. हमें equality मिल जाए इतना काफी है. Equity के बारे में तो मतलब छोड़ ही दो. So I think.
But I think that is one of the things we are trying to. I mean, we can't resolve this on this
Overnight.
table today,
Yeah.
or we can't resolve this overnight. But this is the direction we want to head into,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that is why we are sitting here today having this discussion.
I mean, that should be our overall ambition, at
Yeah.
least, and our overall approach towards work, because I do understand where you're coming from, because हमारे अगर हम हालात को understand करते हुए चलें तो basic रोटी कपड़ा मकान ही मिल जाए, equity की देखी जाएगी.
Yeah.
ठीक है? I mean, I understand where that
Because
is coming from.
the strings that are attached to us, they're so you really can't cut them off. So you easily get satisfied by what's given to you.
Yeah.
And हम उस वक्त ये नहीं देखते कि हमें हमारे हिसाब से चाहिए या क्या चाहिए. हम ये देखते कि हमें मिल
बस हमें चाहिए.
Yeah.
No, what he's trying to say possibly is equality में जिसके बाद हम equity पे जाके बात करते हैं. We've been talking about the concept
but-
of equality. Sorry.
Yeah,
Go on.
please go ahead.
No, the concept of equality, like we've been talking about equality for the longest period of time. And unfortunately, even when COVID hit, and it just reminded me when Ruth said that, I'm just gonna kind of bring in feminism somewhere here as well. That when COVID hit, there was about 60% of job losses in women, like for women. And it hit women more than men at that point in time as well. So equity is a fantastic, concept, and I do feel that as a progressive nation or as progressive beings or individuals, we need to think in a certain way. And if you kind of change the narrative, you can only hope that the generations after will probably think like that. Because if you compare to what we used to have and what we have now, there's a massive difference. Of course, we're moving towards the better, but थोड़ा तो मिल जाए. थोड़ी equality
So,
तो आ
अच्छी
जाए.
बात ये है कि आपने एक you stated a fact that 60% women got affected by it. So do you think equity या equality, ये जो notions हैं, ये जो concepts हैं, whether they be tangible or abstract in nature, do you think they're gender neutral?
If I may.
Yes, please.
Whether it's equality or equity, gender is just a part of it, right? Because these are so abstract. आप उसके अंदर सिर्फ gender fit नहीं कर सकते. There's race, there's religion, you know. Yes, right now in current circumstances around our society, gender plays a major role because we see it everywhere. But that doesn't necessarily dictate the fact that ये दोनों terms are solely based on gender.
So, in your opinion, they are gender neutral.
Yes.
So,
But there is a but.
I don't want to be the butt of this.
But
what I'm saying is, Jamana, I feel like it's a cash in card. क्योंकि हम यही यूज कर रहे हैं, even as brands and things like that, inclusivity दिखाने के लिए चलो ये कर लेते हैं, you know. So I mean, when it comes to gender, you're saying it's so neutral. No, Vaijan, it's something that everyone can cash on. आपकी सबसे sensitive चीज में ये सबसे बड़ा product बन सकती है. So how can, you know, आपकी skin को लेके, the way your belief is, you know, how you dress, how you speak, everything, every bit of sensitive thing, okay, is a cash in for me.
So
you know.
that's
So ये gender जब आता है ना, तो हम उसे ज़्यादातर divide नहीं कर सकते because traditionally it's just divided into two parts.
And I
You
agree
know.
with you, but the ideology itself is not just solely based on gender. It depends who's cashing it and how they're cashing it.
उसके लिए सबसे ज़रूरी सवाल है how free your media is to even start talking about it. You know. अगर मतलब इस सवाल का मेरे सबसे पहले जवाब ये है कि आप बताएं पहले आपका मीडिया कितना फ्री है. Like do we have the freedom to talk about it?
yeah, we do.
Or take a step back. How many genders are there
We
that we are
actually do.
recognizing?
Yeah.
Also. So, in your opinion, it is a very gender-charged notion, either in all.
I
And
think so.
I'd like to hear if Sameer has any input on this.
I would say it's more than a gender thing. I would say it's a human thing. कि सबको अपने हिसाब, मतलब अब अगर मेरी कोई ज़रूरत है और अगर कोई देख रहा है कि वो मेरी वो ज़रूरत पूरी कर सकता है और उसको उसमें भी फ़ायदा है, तो इट्स नॉट अ बैड थिंग. हाँ, अगर दिमाग में इंटेंशन इस तरीके के रखे मैं कि लाइक मैं इस चीज़ को कैश इन करूँ या ये वो, तो वो ह्यूमन एलिमेंट ख़त्म हो जाएगा उसमें. वो फिर इट्स प्योर नंबर एंड बिजनेस थिंग. आई वुड से human element is more important.
For me, when you talk about equity, and if you talk about, you bring in the factor of gender, how is it equity then? For me, I don't think that there's got to be that bias. Like, if for example you are saying that if you're choosing somebody to, or you're providing somebody with the resources, it doesn't mean that if he's a guy, he needs
Yeah.
whatever.
Resources
It's not
को क्या
it's
पता ये मर्द
अरे
के
वो
पास
gender
है या
का
औरत के पास है.
No,
वो तो allowed हो गई.
No, the fact that we're talking about gender is the fact that we probably don't know or we don't believe in equity then.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree with
putting
that.
labels on everything
Yeah.
when in like equity in its essence, you should be taking the labels
And
out.
I get that why
Yeah.
we're putting the label on it because we're sitting like for a Women's Day podcast, but I mean it doesn't need to be like gender biased or gender neutral.
Don't you think that putting a label is coming from, you know, the need for simplification, you know, of the application of the thoughts or the concepts or the theories? Because देखो theory में तो yes you are all pointing out कि ये ऐसा है वैसा है, लेकिन जब हम practical level पे इसको apply करने पे आते हैं, let's say एक corporate environment है, आप उसमें equity और equality को जब apply करने पे आओगे, so how do you see the whole gender diversity, the gender gap? Yeah, big buzzwords when it comes to, you know, embracing equity, but they are, you know, the keywords that are driving at least the conversation. So वहाँ पे जो है अगर थोड़ा सा हम लोग खंगाल लें इस बात को कि gender neutral है या gender charged है, gender led है या gender biased है.
मैं एक एग्जांपल दे सकता हूँ.
जी.
But से शुरू करते हैं.
Like today we were having a discussion. Okay, I was watching some ads by PSL and Zalmi, ठीक है, उसके वीडियो में कि it's a very nice video, good production value, everything is really nicely done. But what really strikes me in that is Myra Khan comes and she strikes a pose. Okay. Meanwhile, Hamza Ali Abbasi, he is just doing this, you know, macho walk with his fur jacket and then
Ghoda.
Ghoda.
So I was like कि यार मतलब अगर ये मायरा खान जिससे मैं देखता हूँ फेयर हॉल पे खड़ी है, you know, in a cotton कपड़ा and you know the bit of so it's like आप अपने आप को position gender ठीक है क्या आप अपने आप को जैसा देश वैसा देश में आप ट्रांसफॉर्म कर लेते हो जब आपकी डिमांड होती है, ठीक है. So why is she going there at Fair Hall and she's talking about this equality, you know, for women and things like that? तो वो वहाँ पे ये क्यों नहीं कह सकती कि मुझे भी घोड़े पे बिठाओ या मुझे भी सच चलना या हमजा को बोलो मेरे साथ डांस कर.
I'm just imagining Myra Khan on a ghoda.
I mean, she can do it.
That's
I mean,
the
she
point,
can.
right? We are missing out on the same faces that are going to be talking. Like we are not the one in the public. हम तो यहाँ हमारा discussion कर रहे हैं, right?
But after this you will
हाँ,
be okay.
सही है. तो मतलब जेंडर की इक्वालिटी और इन सब चीज़ों की जब आप बात करते हो, but we need to understand who is going to be the face of it. You know, हम इंडिविजुअली जाके हमारे पास वो पावर नहीं है कि हम जाके किसी को या किसी मास ऑडियंस की आवाज़ बने.
But सबके पास platform है.
Everybody
that's
is
true.
like,
We're all connected. We have social media.
Which is why
We're all
today
connected.
So
we
we have our own voice.
podcast, right? We could have
Yeah.
just posted a post about Women's Day and
Yeah.
be done with it. But that's the thing.
hashtag embracing.
Yeah, this is how you start embracing it.
Okay, so I'll go back to my initial thought again, Marukh. And Sameer also touched upon this. Human needs. Human needs किसी भी जेंडर के लिए फिक्स नहीं, right? They're not driven by a particular gender. प्यास सबको लगती है, भूख भी सबको लगती है. सब कोई ऐसा भी हो सकता है, एक औरत भी गांव देहात में रहती है, वहाँ से काम करने शहर आती है, एक मर्द भी गांव देहात में रहता है, वहाँ से काम करने शहर आता है. Similarly, within our office अगर हम देखें और within our organization if you look at, there are a lot of people coming in from far-fetched areas within Karachi, right? But at the end of the day, they all get the similar opportunity to excel. And it's not about कि सबने एक स्टेज पे पहुंच जाना है. It's for us to acknowledge that कि वो वहाँ उस स्टेज तक हम उनको पहुंचा कैसे सकते हैं. How can we be the bridge in taking them to that stage, in fully utilizing that opportunity that is out there for them, right? बहुत simple example है कि we have people coming in from Bahria town, we have people coming in from Rangi town, and we have transport available for everyone. It's a very small example that I'm giving, right? But it's about recognizing the fact. अब उसमें हमारी transportation के through औरतें भी आ रही हैं, मर्द भी आ रहे हैं, छोटी उम्र के लोग भी आ रहे हैं, बड़ी उम्र के लोग भी आ रहे हैं. So again, it's not about gender itself. And हमें ना थोड़ा सा कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड से बाहर निकल के भी सोचना चाहिए इसके बारे में. अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ खाली ऐसी नहीं है कि हम कॉर्पोरेट कल्चर में क्या अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ अवेलेबल है हमारे लिए. आर वी गिविंग इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ टू पीपल? अपॉर्चुनिटी तो सबके लिए होगी, बट आर वी इनेबलिंग पीपल लिविंग इन रूरल एरियाज ऑफ पाकिस्तान टू गेट द सेम काइंड ऑफ एजुकेशन दैट समबडी लिविंग इन DHA Karachi is getting? No. And equity again is about bridging that gap, bridging that divide that the society has. हम जो ये बात भी करते हैं ना कि is it gender neutral or not, that's how our society has shaped it up. हम जब भी equity या equality की बात करते हैं, we always think about men versus women. Right? It's beyond that. It's beyond men versus women debate. It's about underprivileged people. It's about physically challenged people. It's about people in totality.
Yeah, it's about people.
So it's not about कि कौन मर्द है कौन औरत है, right? Or who's gender neutral or not gender neutral, or a debate is gender led or not gender led. It's about people as a whole. It's about humanity as a whole.
Right, and that is exactly why I posed this question, because understand मुझे भी यही करना था कि how is it that we can transform this particular narrative कि भाई equality is not just about gender, neutrality है नहीं है, या फिर equity is gender neutral or not compared to equality itself. And when we talk about rural के point of view से, और अगर हम वैसे भी कुछ figures और facts को consider करें, I was actually very surprised, but at the same time a bit alarmed as well, because again based on the whole gender diversity, और उसके ऊपर जब मैंने research की और understand किया, then I mean for me gender diversity ratio in Pakistan is 16.7%.
Yeah.
But
In the workforce?
yes.
Yes.
And generally अगर हम सिर्फ देखें, मतलब how
Yeah.
staggering is the fact कि सिर्फ 7% women have accounts of a proper financial organization. Only 7% in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Rural तो मतलब गया
Really?
तेल लेने को तो जाए ही बेचारा कहीं भी. I mean ये शहरों की बातें हो रही हैं. ठीक है. I mean I've known educated women, masters in economics, and they don't have a bank account.
So we didn't have it for the longest time.
That's a different story.
Our finance was constantly complaining about it.
Exactly. And yes,
Good one.
Pasha was, one of the sources that I looked into, because then, again, देखो जब हम बात करते हैं equal opportunities की, तो equal opportunities फिर हम हर जगह देखें ना, and a lot of times we see कि यार teacher तो लड़की का काम होता है बनना, डॉक्टर भी अगर कोई लड़की बनेगी तो गायनी बनेगी, ठीक है, मतलब गायनी बनेगी भाई,
या फिर नर्स मर्द अगर कोई हो जाए तो बोलेंगे
हाँ,
nurse.
मतलब मर्द को नर्स पुकारते हुए हमारी जबान गिरने
So
वाली
nurse
होती है.
itself is a
Female.
female
Yeah.
word in our
So मुझे लगता
society.
है कि मोहनस है, मतलब the terms. And so I was citing Pasha की research. I mean 83% active male computer science grads हैं जो actually workforce में जाके STEM fields में लगते हैं, and you hardly have 16% compared to that.
Yeah.
Computer science की female grads, and they're not even pursuing it. I mean, so when we talk about, ठीक है हम corporate sector के बारे में बात कर ली है, हमने academic और उसके दूसरे professions के point of view से बात की है, and we are Symmetry Group, we have a lot to do with digital transformations. In terms of the digital and the technological fields, where do you think equity or equality आप हम लोगों को, हम सबको, not just us as Symmetry, but also anybody watching this, how is this concept going to help us really embrace and bring about that transformation कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा inclusivity हो talent की?
अच्छा मारूफ उस पे ना, it's a lot to do with how the society or the societal norms have shaped up over the period of time in Pakistan. For decades हम ये सुनते आ रहे हैं कि and especially if you talk about rural areas, बच्चियाँ स्कूल नहीं जा पाती, उसके multiple reasons हैं. कोई भेजना नहीं चाहता. We were just having this discussion earlier and it was pointed out that a lot of rural areas जहाँ पे बच्चियाँ स्कूल इसलिए नहीं जा पाती because वहाँ पे schools में washrooms नहीं,
या फिर फसल का काम पहले
या वो फसल का पहले सही से करना सिखाना शुरू कर. Exactly. So और जब हम थोड़ा सा अर्बन एरियाज की तरफ आ जाते हैं, वी टॉक अबाउट अच्छा यार बच्ची स्कूल तो जाएगी, बच्ची स्कूल जाने के बाद डॉक्टर बन जाएगी, प्री डिफाइंड प्रोफेशंस हैं जिनमें ख़वातीन जाती हैं. एक रीज़न तो ये है. कंप्यूटर साइंस या टेक्नोलॉजी या कम्युनिकेशन एक ऐसी फील्ड है, कम्युनिकेशन में तो फिर भी देयर इज अ लार्ज अमाउंट ऑफ फीमेल्स कमिंग इन एंड दे आर डूइंग एक्सीलेंट वर्क, स्पेशली इन एडवर्टाइजिंग ऑल्सो. बट जब हम बात करते हैं ना इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी की, कंप्यूटर साइंस की या टेक्नोलॉजी एज अ होल, इट हैज़ बिन पोर्ट्रेड एज अ वेरी बोरिंग इंडस्ट्री फॉर आवर फॉर आवर सोसाइटी एज सच. लोग सोचते ही नहीं है कि इसमें भी लोग आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस में करियर बना सकते हैं, लोग डेटा साइंस के अंदर करियर बना सकते हैं. दीज ऑल्टरनेट चॉइसेस हैव स्टार्टेड टू कम इन नाउ. अगर हम ऑन द कॉन्ट्ररी इसके ऊपर मर्दों की भी बात करें या जो लड़के होते हैं उनकी भी बात करें, आज से 10 साल पहले उनके पास भी यही करियर चॉइसेस होती थी. एंड देन इन अर्ली 2000s there was this boom of information technology. On the cusp of millennium, everybody started talking about कि हमें जी IT करना है. and then the media revolution came in and everybody wanted to jump onto the media bandwagon कि हमें advertising में जाना है, हमें TV channel के लिए काम करना है. Now we've started seeing a streaming revolution. जहाँ पे लोग बात करते हैं कि यार मुझे influencer बन जाना है, मुझे content creator बन जाना है. These are choices that are new to our society, right? It's gonna take time in terms of reshaping how people think, but to me it's a very societal matter where people are still either they don't want to send their kids to school, female kids to school, even if they are. बहुत सारे cases में ऐसा होता है. Doctors की example हमारे सामने है. 80% 70% of the doctors they sit back at home after getting a degree in medical science or similar fields. तो वो बेसिक फील्ड्स के ऊपर या बेसिक ऑक्यूपेशंस के ऊपर हम we've been stuck for a while now, and the shift has started to come. You see a lot of female influencers in Pakistan, you see content creators in Pakistan, you know, people have started to go towards showbiz, and it's been happening for a while now. So the shift has started to come in, but again जब तक सोसाइटी की सोच नहीं बदलेंगे ना हम, उस सोच को बदलने के लिए हम यहाँ बैठे हैं आज. शायद हम at the end of the day we might be able to achieve something out of this discussion, but it's at the end of the day at the societal level. It's not about कि लोग आते नहीं हैं. Probably जो बच्चियाँ आना भी चाह रही होंगी या जो लड़कियाँ आना भी चाह रही होंगी इस तरफ, उनके लिए शायद ये करियर चॉइस ओपन ही नहीं रखी होगी उनकी फैमिलीज ने कि यार आप ये भी कर सकते हैं जाके.
And और schools के level पे भी नहीं है. It's not एक तो family level and then school का level. अभी भी you see like when children are born, there's so many parents that you actually like. Well, for me, I'm like appalled to look at them. And when वो लोग अगर उनका एक बेटा होता है, so they'll be like अच्छा सही है because I'm a doctor, तो मेरा बेटा तो of course doctor ही बनेगा, या engineer हो तो फिर वो engineer ही बनेगा. और अगर I'm sorry to say this, but अगर कोई arts में जाना चाहता है, that's literally like अच्छा इसको पढ़ना नहीं आता तो ये आर्ट्स में जाएगा, you know, like literally you defer it.
In a certain point in time, and I'm till a certain point in time, ये जो आप आर्ट्स वाली बात कर रही है ना, एक डिबेट ये भी थी कि प्रिय इंजीनियरिंग नहीं की ना, इसको पढ़ाई में अच्छा नहीं है, कॉमर्स में चला गया. So that's the kind of mindset we have. And we need a mindset shift.
Sorry.
Yeah,
adding on to what Uzair said, like he talked about 80% women entering for a graduate degree in medical, but then only 20% end up becoming professionals. It's because, again, Uzair ने जैसे बात की, society में ingrained है, हर घर से ये बात शुरू होती है. And even if I just talk about myself personally, like I've heard all that, पढ़ाई कर ली है, job का क्या है, पढ़ाई तो कर ली अब तुम, job क्यों करनी है? And also fact कि अगर if something like being a doctor, if it's still a hindrance, तो फिर advertiser, marketer या producer तो दूर की बात है. Even going to advertising for my family was a big thing because घर से पहले तो लोग ही बात करना शुरू कर देते हैं, ये लड़की की जॉब है, तुम करोगी, तुम निकाह करके करोगी. So it starts off there, and this is the biggest challenge.
Assumption because like a lot of people with the fear of log kya kahenge don't let their daughters out of the house.
And also more than
but
that,
it's not exactly like always the case. It's just that this fear that they have, like if we send our daughter out, then people are going to talk about it.
And also, sorry to cut you off, but more than that, we have assigned genders to professions. I think that is also a big
horizontal
role.
segregation.
Exactly.
That's the word.
So yeah, I mean, it starts within.
So apart from the digital world and like how Uzair was also mentioning that we have so many influencers and women influencers, I think like we were talking about the rural areas of Pakistan, and I feel like if I were to look at 5 years back and search for influencers from let's say Khyber Pakhtunkhwa or Gujranwala, I wouldn't find anybody. But with TikTok and the penetration in Pakistan now, I am able to find those TikTokers or those influencers in those rural areas of Pakistan, which was not the case back in the day.
And think
So
what
I
you can
feel-
do with those influencers.
Yeah, so I feel
at
like
a
we're
regional level.
evolving, we're getting there, but like it's a long way to go. We're getting there, but it's gonna obviously take time.
So the shift again has started to come,
Yeah.
but it needs to happen at a mass level. and we are just trying to again
Contribute.
move the needle
Yeah.
a little.
Yeah.
So Taha,
A
आपको
little
लगता
bit.
है
I'm gonna have a little bit of a
कि
coffee.
जो ये जो job selections
Don't
होती
tell
हैं,
me, you're having
या जो
water.
भी ये वाली बातें होती हैं, do you think कि वो समाजी और सकाफती लेवल पे इसके ऊपर पहले चेंज होना चाहिए? मतलब हम तो कॉर्पोरेट लेवल पे that's like not even the surface that we should be scratching. The surface should be social and anthropological to begin with. तो इस पे आपका क्या व्यू है?
मुझे यही लगता है क्योंकि इसके अंदर कल्चर शिफ्ट की सबसे पहले ज़रूरत है क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ रूरल एरियाज़ के अंदर तो 50% विमेन के पास तो बेसिक एजुकेशन ही नहीं है, मतलब उन्हें तो अपने राइट्स तक नहीं पता, तो वो प्रोफेशन तो बहुत दूर की बात है और उनको इतनी लिबर्टी भी नहीं दी जा सकती या नहीं दी जाती उनकी फैमिलीज़ की तरफ से या उनके कल्चर की तरफ से कि वो अपने क्या कहते हैं अपनी फील्ड खुद चूज़ कर सकें कि वो क्या बनना चाहते हैं। उनको बचपन से असाइन कर दिया जाता है आपने डॉक्टर बनना है या आपने ये बनना, आपने ये बनना, बेटा पैदा होता है उसको तो इंजीनियर बनाते हैं वो। और ये अब ऐसा है कि इसके अलावा और भी फील्ड्स आ गई हैं, मतलब दूसरी इतनी अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हैं कि ये फील्ड्स ऑब्सोलीट होती जा रही हैं उसके सामने। अब ऐसा भी है कि 2 से 3 फील्ड्स मर्ज हो रही हैं, जैसे बायोमेडिकल है और बायोटेक्निकल है, जो मशीनरीज बनती हैं उसके अंदर जो प्रोफेशनल होता है वो डॉक्टर भी होता है, वो टेक्निकल भी होता है। तो इतनी अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हैं लेकिन किसी को अवेयरनेस ही नहीं है इसकी,
क्योंकि हमने उसको एक सांचे में और कूजे में बंद कर
और
दिया
ये
कि
तो
ये
बहुत
लड़के का
scientific
है,
बातें हो
ये
गई।
उसका है।
टेक्नोलॉजी और बायोलॉजी भाई, अगर अब बच्चों लाइक मुझे
Biotechnology.
हाँ, if I would
He
tell
said
my,
it.
if I would tell my mom and dad ना कि मुझे like back when I was a child, if I would tell them कि मुझे swimming करनी है, like मुझे swimming सीखनी है, they would be like काली हो जाओगी, रंग खराब हो जाएगा। And now when I think of it, I'm just like, because of that reason, I'm not into any sports. Because my
People don't have
mom,
passion here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We were talking about this the
I
other
was
day.
talking about it.
I asked Michelle, "What's your passion?" And she's like, "What's yours?" And I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, because that's also because gender has been attached to like all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff
exactly.
as well,
So
you
like
know,
my niece, she tells us कि मुझे footballer बनना है. So like now we know that okay, अब हमारे अंदर इतनी awareness है कि अगर वो बोलती है फुटबॉलर बनना है तो हम हो हाई नहीं करते। जैसे हमारे अम्मा अब्बा करते होते थे कि मतलब नहीं भाई स्विमिंग पागल हो गए। Exactly. Yeah.
I was just like, I mean, I like
और हमारे बेचारे म्यूजिशियंस यहाँ पे
I think मेरे पास ना अभी भी
The word for them that is still used is mirasi.
Yeah. I mean, when
But
I
yeah.
was actually a very fun मतलब example है, खैर आप लोगों के लिए fun होगा, मेरे लिए life की harsh reality थी. For the longest time, I've been one of the principal creators on Tarang, the brand, and it is again a very vibrant brand world, very very filmy to the core, and it was all about bringing those big silver screen stars together to hold that 10 rupees ka bag. उस ज़माने में 10 रुपए का था. Anyway, so and it was like for a good 8 to 10 years that was one of the main brands that I was working with. And every time a shoot would happen, my mom would ask me, "Oh, who's dancing this time?" And fine, yeah, that's the brand word, right? And I would be all happy and excited to say, "Saima ji, ठीक है." And then if somebody would ask, "Oh, मारो क्यों नहीं आई?" तो वो गई हुई है, शूट करवा रही है, तो अच्छा काम क्या करती है? क्योंकि काफी लोगों को नहीं समझ में आता था कि मैं काम क्या करती हूँ. And because कैमरा चलाने वाला तो कैमरामैन होता है, मारू क्या काम कर रही है वहाँ पे, ठीक है? And they wouldn't even understand कि I write those concepts or whatever, or I'm developing that communication. And then my mom would simply reduce my entire profession down to saying, "Saima को नचाती है." And I'm like, why would you say that? Hey, I can never do that. And I'm like, "Mom, I do more than that." Seriously.
Farooq, I know there is Saroj Khan in this. Is there Farah Khan? Saroj?
Well, I am honored because there are some legends that we're talking about, including Saima ji. But yeah,
but you're not a choreographer.
But yeah, absolutely there with you. I mean,
Yeah.
even till this day, people ask us, "करते क्या हो?" People very close to us, and we've been telling them कि अच्छा हम ये करते हैं. Every time they meet you and they ask you, अच्छा नहीं लेकिन करते क्या हो?
तो सोशल
The
मीडिया का
awareness-
मतलब क्या है?
हाँ ये क्या है?
हाँ।
अच्छा तो ऐड बनाते हो, अच्छा
हाँ।
तो वो वाला ऐड तुमने बनाया है? नहीं वो वाला ऐड हमने नहीं बनाया, हम ये करते हैं, वी आर अ टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनी, वी आर एन एक्सपीरियंसेस
Yeah.
कंपनी।
Yeah.
एक्सपीरियंसेस क्या होते हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी क्या होती है?
Yeah.
सो गोइंग बैक टू द सेम पॉइंट, अवेयरनेस नहीं है।
मेरी नौकरी नौकरी नहीं है, मैं सामा को नचाती हूँ। भाई की नौकरी नौकरी है भाई, कहीं बड़ी कंपनी में लगा हुआ है नहीं, लेकिन यू नो सो यू
Yeah.
गेट दैट नैरेटिव फ्रॉम
You do.
योर घर ओनली यार।
Yeah.
मतलब आप ये सब सुनते सुनते देखते देखते बड़े होते हैं, एंड आई गेस जो थोड़ा संकी होता है वो शायद शिफ्ट मार देता है दूसरी तरफ, एंड दे काइंड ऑफ रियलाइज व्हाट दे आर डूइंग इज यू नो इट मैटर्स टू देम, देन इट्स इनफ। नैरेटिव के अगर ऊपर हम
बहुत ही
कंसंट्रेट
बट
करें, मैं वो बट लाने की कोशिश कर
बट
रही
साहब को
हूँ।
आपने चुप करा
नहीं
दिया।
नहीं नहीं, मैं तो चाह रही हूँ ये अगला सवाल ना
ये हम सुहेल के
बट
ऊपर-
बट अगर हम नैरेटिव के ऊपर बात करें, सो ये कॉन्सेप्ट्स, ये जो बातें हैं, इक्विटी को एम्ब्रेस करें, इक्वालिटी होनी चाहिए, जेंडर न्यूट्रलिटी होनी चाहिए, जेंडर क्या चीज़ है, इससे बियॉन्ड है, काफ़ी इसके ऊपर प्रो आपको भी लोग मिलेंगे, काफ़ी इसके ऊपर जो है आपको ऐसे लोग भी मिलेंगे जो कहेंगे ना बाबा ना, कोई सीन ही नहीं है, हम पे तो ये लागू ही नहीं होता है, वी नॉट दैट सोसाइटी एट ऑल। So there's a very, you know, big backlash happening, and if you look at the social media space, right? Because yeah, this is also going to go on social media. And जब हम ये वाली बातें start करते हैं उसके ऊपर, let's take the example of you know the recent ban जो कि औरत मार्च के event पे हुआ है from Islamabad and Lahore. वो ban अगेन जो रीजंस उन्होंने स्टेट किए हैं वो क्या स्टेट किए हैं कि इट्स स्क्यूज टुवर्ड्स यू नो इमोरल डिपिक्शन ऑफ व्हाट यू वांट टू से, एंड देन वो बात रह जाती है 3 पोस्टर्स के ऊपर, और एग्जैक्टली वो कॉज क्या है, वो मकसद क्या है जिसकी वजह से इतना सारा लोगों का ग्रोह निकल के बाहर आ रहा है, वो जो कहना चाह रहे हैं या जिस कॉज के लिए वो स्टैंड कर रहे हैं वो बात पीछे रह जाती है, जो सामने रह जाता है वो ये रह जाता है इसने बात कैसे की, ठीक है, मतलब हाउ डेयर यू पुट अप दैट पोस्टर, आई मीन दैट्स फहाश, एंड देन द होल थिंग इज लॉस्ट इन द बाइस्ड कमेंट्री. So if you remember, we were having this conversation, you know, a very one-on-one conversation, and you had this point कि भाई ठीक है, अगर आप एक activism कर रहे हो, so there is a way to, you know, execute or express that activism. And don't be so loud or obnoxious about it that people don't understand what you're trying to say, but rather just focus on what you're saying. Do you think we need provocation? Do you think we need to be, you know, like झटका हमें लगना चाहिए तब हम जाके कोई बात सुनेंगे किसी भी cause के लिए?
Is this in like digital space?
Yeah, social media.
Okay. So I personally think that I mean to gain any attention on social media, you just need to sound toxic, or no, you get instant attraction, and you need to put a pinch of like journalism in it. Like your first couple of words needs to be so it should be the right hook, ठीक है? Instead of saying कि मैंने best कढ़ाई खाई, you're supposed to say like ये कढ़ाई नहीं खाना, because that's the trend. And then they tell you that wow, this कढ़ाई is actually really nice.
तो मैं रातों को नींद नहीं आएगी इसलिए ये कढ़ाई नहीं खाना क्योंकि ये इतनी मजेदार है.
Yeah, so you know,
Exaggeration.
so you आप इंट्रोड्यूस ही narrative से ऐसे इंट्रोड्यूस होते हैं कि आपको पता है कि ये कहीं ना कहीं और जाना है, ठीक है? And the more negative you sound in it, the more clicks you get. So narrative आप जो express करना चाह रहे हैं वो पहले from the beginning itself is going to lose its track. So I don't know where it's going to lead to, and it almost becomes like Chinese whisper. Then there are comments to it, and then उस comments के अपने narrative है. So basically, right now what we do is हम post कम देखते हैं, comments ज़्यादा देखते हैं, because we are interested in how people are reacting to it. We don't sometimes we forget what the content is. We are into how people are reacting to it. You know, इसीलिए तो हम इतने addict हो जाते हैं review videos के. We are following people because of that. You know कि इनके क्या review है. So that's how you build. आप अपनी research कम और experience कम, आप लोगों के opinion से ज़्यादा अपने opinion को build करते हैं. So
Zainab, do you think अगर हम इस तरह से करें कि एकदम से we actually start off with a very negative shout something that grabs your attention immediately, as Aruj mentioned, clickbait. But don't you think that there is a certain responsibility also attached to how you are going to express the
Yeah, of course.
thought?
I feel like, or like the concept of feminism itself is already, like people don't have like a good, like it does not have a good rep, right? So if you do use like clickbait stuff online to, like get the clicks and stuff, it will lose its essence and its main message in its entirety. Like doesn't matter how many clicks you're getting, but then it'll all be about, like this is fahashi, or like ये लोग बदतमीजी कर रहे हैं और फांसी फैला रहे हैं, ये सब कर रहे हैं. So I think it is important to try to get as many clicks as you can, but also stay true to what your main message is.
So there should be always substance. I feel like.
I think
You
it
can't
was
just say anything
yes,
and then wait for it to get viral and then
Yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, you were saying this in context of Aurat March, or
No, I
was
was
it?
using it as an example. कि
All
किस
right.
तरह से वो औरत मार्च का जो cause है, that stands very true and relevant to our society.
Yes, it does. But
But
when you
the
talk
way it
about
was
the three
received
posters, or when
and
you,
taken up,
yeah, when you talk about the three posters, it actually shows you that also. I don't know, the three posters that get highlighted is also an extreme, sort of, let's say, depiction of the concept itself, or perhaps not what feminism is. And that's what becomes viral. So in my opinion, when you talk about, so if Suhail says that, social media is toxic, and yes, it gets you the kind of attention that you probably need but do not necessarily want, and whatever you're trying to say, if it's something so important to you, and if it's something that really means a lot to me, I don't want to make a joke out of it. I don't want to take away from the fact that yes, I'm getting attention, but people are not understanding what my point is. So I feel it's a very serious topic, and if you're wanting to address it, it has to be addressed in a manner that people also understand what you're trying to say. If you scream about it, if, let's say there's a person, if I'm not doing something correctly, and if somebody screams at me, I'm not going to get it.
Yeah.
Unless and until I explain it to you. And it's literally that, like, you don't have to scream for your rights. You know that you have to have them. And if people are not getting it, you explain it to them. You don't have to go completely the opposite direction and be like, I'm not going to quote that thing. But
लेकिन ये भी तो कहते हैं ना कि मांगने से भीख मिलती है, छीनने से हक मिलता है. What is
आपका
that
हक
whole-
आपका है. No, I understand that. But आप जब छीन के मांगते हैं, देखिए, I'm not talking about छीनना या कुछ करना. I'm just talking about the fact कि जब आप इस तरीके की कोई चीज़ करते हैं, you take away from your own, like, what you're trying to do. Your own objective, like, it gets lost in translation.
It's actually about being responsible enough to the cause
Yeah.
that whatever you are doing is not taking away the entire essence of it.
Exactly, yeah.
You've quoted Aurat March, and we see every year Aurat March happens, and whenever it happens, there's a lot of negative noise around it. Right? Aurat March पिछले 5-6 साल से हो रहा है शायद. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
7 साल हो गए या हो सकता है कम हुआ. औरत मार्च से पहले भी there have been plenty of initiatives regarding women empowerment that organizations have taken. There are a lot of, on Women's Day alone in Karachi, I know for a fact that there are, apart from Aurat March, there are 5 or 6 different marches happening, right? And they talk about issues that pertain to women in totality, and those are true issues.
They're not trivial. Definitely not.
Issues pertaining to women's health,
Yeah.
issues pertaining to mental health,
True.
issues pertaining to opportunities within the society, and similar other issues that people try to address through these marches. If you're not responsible enough, and if you talk about all the other things that are not related to these fundamental issues that need sort of they need to be addressed immediately or should have been addressed in our society by now, then you sort of digress from the whole essence of doing this औरत march per se. फिर हम बात करते हैं रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी की. हम जो बात कर रहे थे कि अगर हम सोशल मीडिया पे जाके जो कुछ लिखना शुरू करते हैं, इवन दोज हु आर बैशिंग औरत मार्च और फॉर दैट मैटर people who are supporting औरत march, I sense a lot of element of बदतमीजी in that.
It's coming from both.
So it's me versus you. It's always that debate कि तुम गलत कह रहे हो, मैं सही कह रही हूँ. You see posters like मेरा जिस्म मेरी मर्जी, बिल्कुल ठीक है, आपका जिस्म आपकी मर्जी. But if you're trying to defend that, or if you're trying to defend something like that on social media, to me it doesn't have to be बदतमीजी. It has to be backed by certain facts. It has to be backed by certain figures so that it has enough power to convince somebody else कि आप जो कह रहे हो वो गलत है.
And also even if it's because a notion like मेरा जिस्म मेरी मर्जी, I mean no facts and figures can actually back that up because it is that strong a statement. But yes, एक शाइस्तगी होनी चाहिए, एक sophistication होनी चाहिए in how you express it.
Exactly.
You don't have to be.
एक चीज जो और बहुत ज़्यादा आपको सोशल मीडिया पे मिलेगी ना, वो अगेन फिर वही मैं बदतमीजी वाले उस पे जा रहा हूँ कि feminism is not about being rude to somebody else.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Totally.
सही है. Yes, उसका एक काउंटर आर्गुमेंट है कि यार दुनिया भी तो हमसे बदतमीजी कर रही है. अगर कोई मुझे एज अ वुमन अगर कोई मुझे छेड़ रहा है तो वो भी एक बदतमीजी, तो वो भी गलत है. सो दो गलत मिलके सही नहीं बनाएंगे.
सिर्फ फिजिक्स में होता है वो.
So
Maths and physics.
So दो गलत मिलके सही नहीं बना सकते. You always have to find the right path towards achieving your goal, and by being irresponsible और जो हम clickbait वाली बात कर रहे हैं या जो toxic होने की सोहेल बात कर रहे थे अभी थोड़ी देर पहले, it sort of takes away from the entire purpose of this whole exercise of celebrating Women's Day, doing an औरत march or doing a similar march.
हम भी चाहते तो एक बहुत ही कोई provocative message लगा देते या एक at least again the keyword clickbait types का कुछ कर देते, but no, we wanted to really have a very civil environment में रहते हुए.
I think as a nation, like I don't know what it is, whether we're frustrated or what it really is, but I just feel like that we love unnecessary drama. And be it on social media.
अच्छा, उसमें पता है
TV serials, they're filled with
exactly
drama.
very rightly mentioned. इसमें इतना बड़ा रोल आपके न्यूज़ चैनल्स और आपके टीवी चैनल्स जो एंटरटेनमेंट चैनल्स हैं, जो ड्रामाज हम देखते हैं, जो मूवीज आती हैं, उसका इतना बड़ा रोल है प्ले करने में. I don't know how many of you have seen this latest series on Netflix called Maruf, what's that?
Which one?
The Romantics.
The Romantics.
Right? आप लोग अगर उसको देखो, so उनकी सोसाइटी में जो हो रहा था ना, in any era of filmmaking, that was reflected in their films.
Movies,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean
पाकिस्तान में क्या हो रहा है? मारूफ, we are still recording by the way.
Yeah, I know. पानी में पी सकती हूँ.
2 times please.
Okay.
2 times.
But आप यहाँ पे देखें, आप कोई टीवी चैनल उठा के देख लें, एक औरत दूसरी औरत की दुश्मन बनी हुई है.
वो एक उसको
कोई-
लाभ
आप फिजिकल अब्यूज देखेंगे, मर्द जो हैं वो औरतों को मार रहे हैं.
या फर्नीचर बना पड़ा है बेचारा.
Exactly.
यहाँ घर से बाहर निकाले और रो रो के मुझे हमारी दादी का मर डाले भाई.
कोई पर्पस नहीं है,
Also
कोई
the
कॉज
notion,
नहीं
you know,
है.
like if you want to portray a woman as a very like sharif person, then you would just like give her a shalwar kameez, like plain shalwar kameez.
दुपट्टा
और दुपट्टा और के बाद जाती है, बहुत शरीफ.
या फिर यूं like करते हुए चाय को.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
Yeah.
a shirt, man. I mean,
exactly.
whatever.
Jeans
Yeah.
पहना देते
Whoever-
हैं,
Exactly.
दिखाना होता है कि
I
वो,
think
you know,
our
like she's very,
media
like
is the culprit in objectifying women across Pakistan.
I
Because
agree.
Also, men, they are so passive in our TV dramas. यार बेचारे कुछ नहीं कर रहे होते हैं.
नहीं,
वो
अब
फिर खामोश भी
मारो
नहीं
कैसे भी ड्रामे
वही तो कह रही है. उनकी अम्मी कह रही होती है, वो कहते हैं अच्छा ठीक है क्योंकि पसंद की शादी तो अम्मी ने रिजेक्ट कर दी, तब दूसरी शादी तो मेरे लिए करोगे. अच्छा अम्मी ठीक है. मतलब ये हो क्या रहा है?
That's the problem. They're not doing anything. That's another
Exactly.
issue.
So
You
Sohail,
know, like,
I have been noticing how कुछ scribble कर रहे हैं. जी बताएं.
कुछ draw किया गया.
Just first thing I want to clarify, Vishal, I'm not saying social media is toxic. I'm saying
Oh, no.
what is working over there right now.
What?
What's working right now,
Yeah.
you know, in terms of
No, of
content.
course, of course.
And secondly, जब हम information की बात कर रहे हैं and how it's getting lost in translation is because our leading source of information in terms of news or whatever, हमने एक collaborative एक वो कर लिया कि meme pages से हमें funny चीज़ें भी मिल जाए, news भी मिल जाए, ये वो. So that's how we are taking our information. I don't think so. A lot of us do actually go and follow, you know, let's say The Guardian or something. बहुत कम लोग ऐसे होते हैं कि वो एक्चुअली गो जब हमें पता चल जाता है कि और इवन आवर एल्गोरिथम ऑफ आवर यू नो न्यूज़ फीड इज सो कि दिन का एक मीम निकलता है जो हर पेजेस एग्जैक्टली सेम
Yeah.
सो दैट पर्टिकुलर डे वी ऑल विल बी डिस्कसिंग दैट द नेक्स्ट डे वी कम information जैसे अभी like I haven't opened my Instagram today. I'm missing out on the entire 3 poster thing that's happening here. But I'm sure अगर you know अगर मैं देखा तो मुझे exactly पता होता क्योंकि उसमें मुझे लोगों के opinions भी पता चल जाते हैं, news में क्या आया है. So I mean how we are putting out information and how we are getting
Consuming.
consuming.
Yeah.
That's we as individuals need to look into, you know, in order to find a change that we
बस हमें पता चल गया ऊपर ऊपर से सरसरी तौर से enough है. आगे बढ़ो. I can actually pretend that I know and have a conversation on it.
Sorry, which brings me to the point कि हमारा narrative जो है, it's like a vehicle, right? It depends on who drives it, how they're driving it. Starts with, let's say, Aurat March, right? जहाँ पे 10 किस्म के topics की बात हो रही है, 10 चीज़ों की. I've seen women from rural areas come for solely for this purpose because they have a narrative that they want to put forward. Then it goes to social media where somebody else drives that vehicle. उनका एक अलग होता है. Comments में जाएंगे, उनका एक agenda अलग होता है जो they're driving. So again, बात ये है कौन drive कर रहा है, कैसे drive कर रहा है. And that's how a lot of things get lost in the
And I
translation.
think
Whether
our
it's
key opinion leaders play a big
Massive.
role.
Yeah.
start नहीं करो please.
मतलब कोई किसी को
Start.
मतलब there is so many like we have so many celebrities, stars, educated people, but I don't see them like, you know, voicing their concerns or they will talk about, you know, अगर
उनका
किसी
brand
celebrity
appeal खराब हो
की
जाएगा
किसी
ना.
के साथ लड़ाई हो गई तो उसके बारे में बात
है ना,
करेंगे.
उसका brand appeal.
You'll see them posting a lot of
Yeah, so
women empowerment
yeah, but
stuff
it's not
tomorrow
substantial. na?
Yeah.
or today for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
then
then the whole year
silence
will be
otherwise.
vibes.
yeah. And also like even things like morning shows, right? Where
Oh.
and I've had this
शादी हो गया
conversation
बस सिर्फ.
with a lot of people because हमारी TG देखती है ये. We need to understand our TG is not that dumb enough. If you show them good stuff, they will watch
will
it. So I
watch.
think this argument doesn't make sense at that point. But you hear people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no,
I
put it
mean,
in
look
the
at how Indian cinema has transformed
Exactly.
itself.
Yeah.
They've gone from all those Nachna Gana movies. Yes, they still make them,
Yeah.
but you see what the kind of content that comes up on streaming platforms. It's
fantastic.
great content,
Fantastic, yeah.
and it's great storytelling.
Exactly.
So people have deviated from those age-old narratives about, these love triangles and so on and so forth.
Love triangles.
They've moved towards these real life stories. Like for example, you talk about Padman, you talk about
Yeah.
Toilet. All of
Yeah.
those stories are real life stories.
Agreed.
And they've even gone beyond that because Mark and we were having a conversation that they're now exploring the fantasy fiction genre, which is so
Yeah.
amazing. हम लोग ये बात कर रहे
They're
थे
finally
कि-
going back to where they actually started. I mean, the whole
Exactly.
Doordarshan started with Mahabharata, and that is high fantasy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
और हम ये बात कर
Yeah,
रहे थे
super fantasy बल्कि. So there you go.
और हम भी ये बात कर रहे थे
are
कि
they too young to understand Doordarshan and Mahabharata?
Okay, you just said you're old.
Now they will search it. They will go and check it.
Please don't come back and message us.
But coming to the point कि हमारे पास our culture is so rich, whether it's fantasy, fiction, legends, whatever. We have so much culture.
We don't
And that,
utilize it.
exactly, that's our biggest point. And again, as people working in media, you know,
Yeah.
different platforms, different vehicles that we have in our hands, we are ourselves are really responsible for that.
अच्छा, और एक डिबेट इस पे ये भी है कि लोग देखते हैं तो हम दिखा रहे हैं।
लोगों को ये देखना है बस।
Yeah.
नहीं, लोगों को ये नहीं देखना। लोग आज से
नहीं
20
लोगों
साल
के पास
पहले
कुछ
भी
है ही नहीं और-
नहीं,
Yeah.
लोग आज से 20 साल पहले भी पाकिस्तान के ड्रामे देखते थे and they were great stories, they were great dramas. I mean, I've got friends in India who still tell me कि आंगन टेढ़ा का हमें अच्छा प्रिंट कहाँ से मिल जाएगा, you know, अंधेरे उजाले अच्छा प्रिंट कहाँ से मिल जाएगा, and so on and so forth. We had this kind of content being created in Pakistan. Right now, it's all about those Saas Bahu serials,
Yeah.
and we've taken the whole route where we are following what Star Plus
Star
used
Plus
to do
के
back in
15
the
years
day, yeah.
ago.
When we were kids, you guys
Exactly.
were probably not
So,
kids, but
मजे की बात ये है कि हमारे जो सीनियर पीयर्स थे जिनके साथ हमने अभी पैनल डिस्कशन किया और आप लोग के साथ भी हम जो पैनल डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं, सो द वन कॉमन थिंग दैट हैज कम आउट इज हाउ कंटेंट इज ड्राइविंग द नैरेटिव, and it is so again very alarming to see how our content, how our media and somewhat communication का जो हमारा पूरा एक पहिया है वो किस तरह से एक ही कॉन्वर्सेशन को जो है वो ड्राइव कर रहा है, और वो बहुत स्क्यूड है। और अगर औरत के हकूक़ के बारे में बात करनी है तो वो बहुत बेचारगी के ज़िम्मे में रहते हुए करनी है, वो एम्पावर्ड उसमें नहीं करनी है। And it's surprising to see how media is constantly being brought up into conversations. So is again responsibility of how you are portraying and expressing the narrative. On that note, I'd like to know Taha, अगर आप पर्सनल लेवल पे अगर अपने आप को देखो तो आप किस लेवल पे जो है ये सारा जो नैरेटिव है अराउंड इक्वालिटी, अराउंड एक्विटी, या फिर इवन ऑन अ वेरी पर्सनल स्केल, किस तरह से आप इसको मोशन में लेके आओगे? हाउ वुड यू ट्राई एंड ट्रांसफॉर्म दिस पर्टिकुलर नैरेटिव?
अगर हम जेंडर पे बेस करके बोलें तो सबसे पहले तो हम लोग अपने पर्सनल लेवल पे अपने एनिमेशन डिपार्टमेंट में हम लोग फीमेल्स को अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ दे रहे हैं इसकी, और हमें अच्छा आउटकम भी मिल रहा है, वो अच्छा परफॉर्म कर रही है। मतलब हमें कोई ऐसा फ़र्क नहीं लग रहा कि वो फीमेल एनिमेशन नहीं कर सकती।
You're making it more inclusive,
हाँ।
your department.
तो
Right.
इसके अलावा
बैलेंसिंग इट आउट।
हाँ
Yeah.
हम लोग इसके अलावा बहुत सारे मैं NGOs को, बहुत सारे इंस्टीट्यूट्स को देख रहा था, उन्होंने फ्री कोर्सेज रखे हैं ख़वातीनों के लिए, और जो कि IT से रिलेटेड हैं, ब्लॉकचेन हो गई, AI हो गई, CNC हो गई, तो वो एक अवेयरनेस दे रहा है, वो फ्री है, फीमेल्स के लिए सिर्फ वो फ्री है, ताकि उनको एक स्किल सेट दिखाया जाए कि वो आगे जाके जॉब्स के लिए अप्लाई कर सकें, और वो इस IT डिपार्टमेंट में या IT कॉर्पोरेट के अंदर आ सकें, और वो इस फील्ड को भी एक्सप्लोर कर सकें कि यहाँ पर भी उनके लिए बहुत कुछ है।
Right, and Sameer, I pose the same question to you.
I would say कि इक्विटी और क्वालिटी अगर हम और थोड़ा टेक्नोलॉजिकल डिजिटल स्पेस में देखें तो वे अभी आजकल सारा जितना भी कंटेंट वगैरह है वो जेन ज़ी के हिसाब से क्यूरेट होता है, उसके हिसाब से उनकी नीड्स के हिसाब से बन रहा होता है। अगर यही डिजिटल एक्सेस और यही टेक्नोलॉजी अगर हम अपने अम्मा अब्बा के टाइम में अगर ये होता तो आई गेस शायद उनके भी जो थोड़े बहुत कंसर्न्स हैं नई फील्ड्स को लेकर वो शायद ना होते, क्योंकि आई थिंक हमारी जो पेरेंट्स की जो जनरेशन है, जो हमारी जनरेशन, उनके टाइम पे इतनी इन चीज़ों के एक्सेस नहीं था, इतना इजीली एक्सेसिबल नहीं थी इंफॉर्मेशन चीज़ों के बारे में, जिसकी वजह से उनके पास उतनी वो अवेयरनेस नहीं थी। तो इसलिए अब फॉर एग्जांपल इफ़ आई एम नॉट, मुझे अगर किसी चीज़ के बारे में नहीं पता तो मैं उसको करने से पहले एक दफ़ा सोचूंगा कि ये सही भी है कि नहीं है, लेकिन अगर उस चीज़ के बारे में मुझे एक प्रॉपर इन्फॉर्मेशन मिली भी है और मेरे सराउंडिंग्स में भी वो काफ़ी एक कॉमन है, तो वो मेरे लिए इतना एक इशू की बात नहीं होगी, आई वुड गो फॉर दैट। तो ये है कि डिजिटल स्पेस में आपको दूसरों को कितना इंक्लूसिव करना है और किस तरीके से उनको उनके हिसाब से मैसेज करना है। फॉर एग्जांपल अब मुझे जो जिस तरीके का मैसेज मुझे समझ आ गया वो मेरी अम्मी को शायद समझ ना आए, लेकिन एट द एंड ऑफ द डे हमारी इट्स आवर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कि सबको पता हो कि किस तरीके से हम इस डिजिटल स्पेस को लाइक विदाउट, अगर हम जेंडर की भी बात ना करें, ह्यूमनली कितना हम इसको
Utilize कर सकते हैं
utilize
for
कर
the
सकते हैं.
correct
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah.
So I like what you said, because अगर हम अपनी day to day very practical work में the work that we do here,
Yeah.
one size fits all वाली जो एक approach है, हम उसके against अब बहुत बात करने
Yeah.
लगे और हम कहते हैं नहीं भाई,
Yeah.
हर platform को
Tailored.
उसके best
Yeah.
role के हिसाब से जो है आप utilize करें. So that is actually practicing equity within the platform
Yeah.
strategy.
Yeah.
So in your personal capacity, I mean, I appreciate what you just mentioned. कि it has to be the communication has to be all inclusive. हम लोग शायद अपने previous consumer base को जो है वो बिल्कुल ही अब इग्नोर करने के उस पे आ गए हैं. So yeah, I feel yeah, because अभी तक उनका ही narrative हमारे ऊपर चल रहा है, जिसकी वजह से हमारी ये conversation जो है अब important हो रही है कि नहीं भी करनी है. Because उनके जो क्या कहते हैं अंदर घुसी हुई बातें हैं, they're just now we actually don't even know, हम subconsciously उन पे operate कर रहे होते हैं.
मेरी
It's been
उनके
it's
दिए
still
हुए
around,
biases
yeah.
हैं.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
like मेरे
So it's yeah.
when एक एग्जांपल है मेरे घर में, ये ताशा जो मेरी बहन है, when she started, तो मुझे याद है कि हमारी फैमिली में किस तरीके से एक अजीब सब परेशान हो गए कि यार ये ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है कि हमारे कल्चर का पार्ट ही नहीं है, और ये मतलब लड़कियां सिंगर्स और
She's a singer.
She's a singer.
तो लेकिन जब आहिस्ता आहिस्ता थोड़ी लोगों से अप्रिसिएशन मिलने लगी, और ये डिजिटल स्पेस पे देखा लोगों ने कि नहीं, इसकी जिस काम को इतना बुरा सोचा जाता है या एक अलग ही माइंडसेट है, दूसरे लोगों का नहीं है, वो दूसरे अप्रिशिएट कर रहे हैं, और हर चीज़ मतलब एक कहते हैं तमीज़ के दायरे में हो रही है, तो लोग आहिस्ता आहिस्ता उसको एक्सेप्ट करना शुरू करते हैं. तो यही हुआ आहिस्ता आहिस्ता हमारे फैमिली में, फिर सबको समझ आया नहीं, हम लोग शुरू में हम लोग को लग रहा था कि
Singing का मतलब सिर्फ ये नहीं होता है. You can also
लिटरली
like
हमारे जो थोड़ा
express
जो
it.
नॉर्थ का जो है वो उस तरीके का एक
Mindset.
माइंडसेट है, क्योंकि उनकी इतनी अवेयरनेस और वो नहीं है.
Zainab, I pose the same closing question to you.
I would start from an individual level. I would start from my home and like creating awareness about the concept itself. And I think, you know, like it's already been set in motion, because previously in our house, you know, like none of the women used to go out to work, but now, you know, like there are a lot of people who in my house who, you know, like had to go out to work and everything, and then that made them allow us to be able to, you know, like go out, and you know, like now they also understand that, you know, like if you have work, if you have to put in late hours, or if you have to, you know, like travel for work, it's, you know, like it's okay, like you can do that. So I think in that sense, you need to like start having these conversations on a day-to-day basis with, you know, like the different people that you interact with.
Sure.
Interesting.
Yes.
I'd like to know what your individual effort would be in transforming this narrative.
For me, I would have to agree with Samir a lot. I have a similar point of view, because I feel like social media is such a powerful tool where it's so easy for you to reach out to so many people in such a short span of time, and so rapidly, so quickly. You put something out. If it's relevant to people, people consume that, people learn from that. And this is what I say to anybody who, you know, if we would talk about key opinion leaders earlier on, and you know, we work with them on a daily basis because we're in this field. Some of them, or a lot of them, actually use their platform to highlight things that need to be highlighted or talked about. I don't have that kind of platform at this point in time, hopefully one day. But anybody who I know, I just feel that it is essential in their personal space as well, that whatever they're putting out, it's something that others can learn from. Stop spreading hatred, spread something that one can learn from or benefit from. That's pretty much what I believe in.
Okay, so thanks to this podcast initiative that we've taken, and while we were talking about, you know, rural areas and underprivileged people, it just struck a chord in my head that, you know, like we're talking about equity, but what are we as, like, I'm not talking about Symmetry Group, or I'm not talking about the workplace that we're in. I'm talking about us as individuals. Like, what do I do for people who are less privileged than I am? I don't really do anything. Like, I could probably, and I would want to think about like what I can do to, let's say, my house help, or people who I interact with on a daily basis, let's say Bilal bhai people, or like office helps, like unke साथ, like how can we make opportunities equal for them. I understand that it's not like going to be an apples to apples comparison, but they have different needs as well, and we kind of don't think about them that much because we're always so occupied with like जब हम काम पे आते हैं हम काम के में अंदर लगे होते हैं, जब हम घर पे होते हैं हमें या तो आराम करना होता है, whatever we want to do we do that, so we don't get that time to take a moment and realize that there are people other than like us as well who are less privileged, and they also like deserve to have this opportunity to be able to feel equal, which they don't usually. So yeah, I'll probably think about what I can do for them, and let's see how it goes.
Very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. So just हमने पहले से बात की थी, right? The issue starts within our houses, and I think that is where, for me, conversation needs to happen. And I don't know if somebody can relate to it, but especially from where I come, there are a lot of tough conversations that are happening and still will happen in terms of equity and equality. So for me, it's something that I need to carry on. So to make that change.
Oh, I like that.
Thank you.
No, really, that makes a lot of sense because if you just don't follow what you're doing, then you won't be affected by what people have to think or say.
Exactly.
यही तो बात जब हम और बात करते हैं कि अपना मिशन बनाओ, अगर आप जा रहे हो अपने रास्ते जाओ, you don't need to put off theatrics around it.
And again, it might not be a big thing that I'm doing. It's not like इतना बड़ा कोई initiative नहीं होगा. But I think वही बात है, grassroots level से start करेंगे. That's how it all changes. Yeah.
That's so nice.
Thank
We're
you.
so excited for you.
Yes, is
It's
it?
me again. Me, I'll be very brief about this one. It's just about being more mindful of people and their circumstances, and just hope and sort of find out a way to make people achieve whatever they can at an organization level, at my individual level, at home, anywhere where I'm present. Just be more mindful and take actions accordingly.
Wonderful,
Can
guys.
I suggest one thing?
Yes.
But
No, really, because I think this is really important that when we come across content that is, that provokes all of us and uska koi, mission hota hai, don't share it. Because the minute we start sharing with our own thoughts about it, that's where it gets tricky because we give them the kind of importance the kind of views or things they need. So जब हमें लगता है कि हम अपनी तरफ से content को filter कर सकते हैं, like let's just do that. I think that's going to be a very good change that we can.
I think that's a very responsible way of conducting oneself on social media and on WhatsApp.
phone messages
So
Monday.
make- make stickers out
Marvel,
of it.
what would you do on a personal level?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, honestly, I would start with myself. I think I belong to a generation that is a very transitional generation. We are not transformers. We are we've transited into things, transition. Sorry.
Me? It's you.
We 4 years younger, okay? Yeah. So I always say this, by the way. हमने VCR से हम CD पे आए, CD के बाद हम जो है Blu-ray पे आ गए, उसके बाद जो हम streaming पे आ गए.
मारो आप तो
We-
आप
we-
डेट
we-
बता रहे हैं ना
आज full mood में.
I don't mind that. You know why? Because I feel कि ना बहुत obsolete mindset वाले हैं, ना इतने over इस वक्त crazy level पे बस हर चीज़ नई अपनानी है without understanding who I really am. Can I really, can a certain new concept really add value to who I am, and then can I apply it in a way that it adds value in the environment that I'm in? So yes, that seasonality is in there when it comes to the experience that I have. But उस experience का फायदा नहीं है if I don't know how to impart it to the people that are coming up अभी अपने careers में. I could be this very staunch person. I am staunch in some certain, but those are values.
Tell us
So,
about it.
those are values that I'm staunch about. I am not staunch about being progressive and moving forward to point of view. So, in my effort of transforming any narrative, I need to transform my mindset.
Oh, I thought you were saying transform my hair.
No. So guys, yeah, this has been an absolute wonderful experience. It was my very first podcast, and I'm sure आप लोग का भी सब पता. But I loved the energy. I loved how we talked about our understanding. Again, this is what we think of equity and equality is or could be and can be for all of us. This podcast only intends to open a conversation, and maybe together we can definitely transform narratives, because here at Symmetry Group we believe in transforming possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.